Now, how did gambling or interest in those types of applications of physics or mathematics enter the picture for you?
Well, I'm a curious person, and you could say that it happened purely by chance. When I was teaching at UCLA, I got interested in beating blackjack. Somebody told me about an article that would let me play almost even. So one Christmas vacation, my wife and I went out. It was actually Christmas vacation of 1958 when just after I got my PhD. We went out to Las Vegas, and I never gambled because I knew it was a loser for most people, and the odds were against you. But I bet $10, and I played for about 40 minutes, and I had an interesting experience. The first 20 minutes, I had a little card telling me what to do, and people thought I was a fool who knew nothing about the game. And they were right that I knew nothing about the game, but the card made me much smarter than the other players. And so I made some remarkable plays that attracted their attention. And then they all hovered around. They wanted to see how I was making these plays. In one of them, I got a 7-card 21, which is very rare, and in most places paid a bonus. They didn't pay a bonus in this particular place, but they thought I was trying for that, and I somehow managed to produce it. So I realized they didn't know much about the game, really. And I went back and read carefully the statistics article and realized that I could see from my math background how to actually devise a system to beat the game. So I set about to do it. And about that time, I moved from UCLA to MIT, and I had access to the big computers at MIT. This was back in 1959. They had an IBM 704, which was a refrigerator-sized machine that served 30 New England universities. So I taught myself how to program. And as I worked my way through with my ideas, I saw that I had a winning system. And it was just a matter of finishing all the calculations. So I went ahead and did that. And then I wanted to find out, I wanted to get this system published because I thought that from my experience in mathematics and what I'd seen happen elsewhere, other people would claim they did it and grab the credit. And that annoyed me because it had already happened to me in mathematics a couple of times. So I went shopping for somebody who could get me quick publication. And turned out that on the MIT campus, there was a man who I knew nothing about named Claude Shannon, who was an institute professor. And he was a member of the National Academy of Sciences. So he could get me, if he approved of what I wrote, a quick publication in the Proceedings of the National Academy. It would only take a couple of months to get it out. So I looked him up one day, and the secretary at MIT's math department said, there's no point in going to see him. He doesn't see people. He's very private. And if you do get to see him, you're only going to have 5 minutes. So I finally managed to see him at lunch for 5 minutes. And after we talked, he said, well, it looks like you've got all the main ideas here. Yes, I'll put this through, but we have to change the title. The title was A Winning Strategy for Blackjack. And he changed it to something like a favorable strategy for 21, which sounded better. And he didn't want to make too bold a statement for the National Academy and make it look like this was just a gambling paper. So anyhow, the paper got sent in, and it caused a sensation because I had submitted an abstract to the American Mathematical Society meeting in Washington, D.C., where I was going to present. By the way, they initially rejected the abstract, saying that this is just another fool with a system that doesn't work because we know you can't beat gambling games. But on the abstract committee was a person I knew well from UCLA, a number theorist named John Selfridge, became quite well known in number theory. And he said, well, if Thorp says it's true, it probably is, so you should accept this abstract. So I went there and I presented, and I thought there'd be about 50 mathematicians in the audience, but instead there were 300 people. It was jammed, And a lot of people were very odd looking. They had pinky rings on and sunglasses and tropical shirts in the middle of winter. So after I finished, they lunged for my little handout. I brought 50 handouts thinking that's all I would need there. And I basically tossed the handouts out and left as quickly as I could. Then it was picked up by a fellow named Tom Wolfe, who became a famous American novelist. And he wrote, he was a young reporter then. He wrote a piece for AP, which went across the country. And so it got massive press. And that led to me writing a book and telling everybody how to do it after a couple of years. Between the time I wrote the book, though, and when I had told people how to do it by publishing, I went out and played blackjack myself and proved the system worked. I figured that there's no point in writing a book unless I knew it really worked. I knew it worked in theory, but what if you actually tried to do it? And a lot of things, they seem to work in theory, but when you get down and actually put something to the test, you find out there are all kinds of things you didn't think of. It turned out in this case, it worked very well. We made, in one weekend with a test, $11,000, which is about that with a zero on the end in today's money. This is in about 20 hours of serious play. So I had a lunch money at MIT for a very long time thereafter.